fires one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin The Bizkit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Early and often, we're going. This is the third time. It feels like in a week that we've been doing episodes just to kind of stock up in person so we get the best quality episodes possible. But
yeah,
it's sad. This will be the last day that I see you before I leave for the season.
You're going to be in Steeltown?
Yep, in Hamilton tomorrow afternoon. And then after that, London for a week. And then down to Watertown, home of, what was it, Southside Grill? Tully's Grill.
There's a bunch of good ones that I saw on the list there. You're going to have your choice of pubs. But fun fact, I was actually conceived in Hamilton.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
And your parents told you that?
Yeah, we were driving around there one time. My dad said, that window right up there in that little townhouse, that's where you became a bunch of clumped cells.
Actually, you see that outhouse over there in that construction site? That was where your brother was conceived.
Yeah, Hamilton, Ontario. It's a beauty, man. Home of the Ticats, home of the Bulldogs once upon a time in the American League. They've been fighting. Jim Balsillie, once upon a time, the director of research and motion. If you'll remember, he was the one responsible for the Blackberry. Mm-hmm. He wanted to put a team in Hamilton once upon a time, and then the Oilers started screaming, saying, "We want one first."
Holy Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so you're going to be there for 2 weeks?
3.5 weeks.
Okay.
So the plan was flying tomorrow, Winnipeg to Toronto. Derek Bujan is going to pick me up. I'm going to live at his facility for the next 3.5 weeks. And I just want to say also, obviously there's going to be video on the video version of the show for those watching. But like Derek Bujan is just like a salt of the earth kind of guy. Like this guy cares so much. He's got a big heart, knowledgeable goalie coach, cares about his students. And I mean like he's welcoming me to stay in his upstairs attic because he wants the best for me. Right? Like there's no other way around it. And like we talked about on the last episode, it's like Rocky IV. I'm going to go into the jungle, all the distractions away, everything I need and that I need to have is there. I have my fascial stretch therapist coach, Tim Tanner, is going to be coming to do some work with me. I have my gym access, my rink access. I have Uber Eats and coffee if I need something during the day. And then also, so like Tim Tanner, the stretch guy, him and his wife live 10 minutes away. I'm going to be chipping them a couple bucks so I can come for dinner every single night. And although they may get tired of me very quickly coming for dinner, but that's going to fix the nutritional aspect of if I'm living in the rink, I can't Uber Eats for 30 days in a row. So everything I need is going to be in place to get off to a good start for the season.
Existential question for you, and I'll preface this by saying I believe that every industry has its perks, regardless of what that industry is. For instance, in my industry, I get to go see a lot of free concerts. And that's really cool because I love music. It works out really good for me. So on top of the fact that you're a professional hockey player, Derek Bujan.
There we go.
That's what he does, right? Yep. Trains goaltenders. Do you think it's because of the YouTube and the presence and the marketing ability that it brings to him that he extends this extra offer? Or do you think that exists without you doing all of the social media stuff?
I think I'd be delusional to say that people aren't intrigued or enticed by the extra exposure and eyeballs they get. But I think that there's a very specific individual. Like I had countless goalie coaches that messaged me, come work with me, come skate with me, and I see right through it. It's you want me to come down, you want me to make a video, and you want me to promote you. Like there's, I think I mentioned this about a year ago with you. There was one goalie coach that reached out and said, "Hey, come to Toronto, I want to skate with you." I said, "Okay, what's the catch? What do I owe you?" And he said, "Well, ice is $3.50 an hour, so you're gonna have to pay the ice and pay my rate." And I'll skate you for free, and then I want you to post some videos. And so I thought to myself, like, so essentially you want me to do your marketing for you. I'm going to pay you to do your marketing when I already have like extremely qualified, credible goalie coaches, right? So stuff like that. I think that Buj sees that I want to become a better goaltender. I want to be the best at my craft that I can be. And God bless him, because I think he sees that if I let Trav stay on my upstairs attic and live there, it's going to give him the resources to be successful. There's no excuses. There's no, I need to Uber to the rink or from the rink. There's no distractions. It's just, we're going to work out every single day. We're going to skate every single day. I'm going to become the best at my craft possible. I'm literally in the jungle, Rocky IV style.
Well, it's so funny you say that because to me, from what you're describing of this place in Hamilton that I've never been to before, and I'm assuming that, like, does he own the rink? Is it a small rink?
It's his facility.
It's his facility. So to me, this is a very Rocky thing where it's like that dusty old grungy boxing ring, and if you're a friend of old Joe's, then you get yourself a key inside and you go in anytime you want and sleep there if you need to. Like, it's got a really Rocky vibe to it.
It literally does. Like if there's sweeping that needs to be done, if the ice needs to be resurfaced, if whatever needs to be done, like I'll help take care of that. But it's just incredible that he's opening up his doors. And even after I'm done with Booch, because I'll be with him for 3.5 weeks, I'm taking the train down to London to go see Steve McKeegan, the former Toronto Maple Leafs goalie coach, the GOAT, as he calls himself online. He's opened up the doors to me as well to stay at his beach beachfront property right next door from his house, and then going to be mentoring me. Like there's something to be said about guys who have played and coached at the level in the National League, professionally and whatnot. Steve is somebody who, mentoring-wise, has more knowledge and more experience than anybody I've ever encountered in my life. And again, when you have played and coached in the National Hockey League, you can't imitate that. You can't fake that, right? Like, there's a very specific set of skills that you have acquired, Liam Neeson style, that nobody else has. And Steve's an incredible mentor, and I'm really excited for him to bless me with some of his knowledge to give me the best chance to be successful this season, to become a true pro, because that's what I want to become. I want to be the best pro that I can.
20 years from now, when the Travis Ridgen story goes on the Hallmark Channel, who plays you in the movie?
Me.
And who plays Derek?
Me. Well, you know, a couple weeks ago, my career was probably limited to about 3 to 5 years, but I don't have anybody to answer to now, so that could go as long as we want. So, yeah, that does feel pretty nice.
If I ever make it in the movie, I want Timothy Chalamet. Timothy, you have my permission. You can play me.
There was this man named Dave Wheeler. He was my podcast co-host on Slangin The Bizkit, and he helped tie everything together.
Oh, if there's a movie that comes out about you eventually down the road, I hope I at least get like a 5-minute, not me, a cameo, but my character, my likeness gets at least a mention in it.
I think you'd be the sportscaster. And
I already did that in Goon. I already did it. Been there, done that. Give me something new.
That'd be good. I would hope that it wouldn't be like Trailer Park Boys, where it starts like vlog style, and then when the movie comes out, it's overproduced and a little bit over the top. Just keep it nice and in-house, mom and pop style feel. That would be the best way.
Out of curiosity, how is the merch been moving in Watertown, getting ready for the season?
Selling a couple units, selling a couple jerseys. Again, if you're looking to pick up a Watertown jersey in the beautiful white aways or the Royal Home jerseys, it's $185 for a jersey. It can be custom printed with a nice 33 original on the back, same jersey I'll be wearing. And anybody that does order a jersey, if you're in the Watertown area or if you're in one of the areas of the teams we go to, so for example, Elmira, New York, Binghamton, New York, Danbury, Connecticut, or even if you're in Motor City or Port Huron, put a note in the order, and I will hand deliver the jersey to you. I'll sign it if you'd like, but I will come to your house, invited or not, and I will deliver the jersey to you. So $185, custom embroidered, stitched, beautiful jerseys for the Watertown Wolves.
I know the Pittsburgh Penguins did a season ticket drive where Sid and a bunch of the guys, Kunitz I think was part of it, Malkin, some of the bigger guys were going around with their jerseys on, hand delivering the season ticket holders at their front door before the season started. I love that.
Well, that's a super expensive investment. I mean, that's like $10,000 for tickets for the season,
sure, yeah,
give or take, as opposed to a $180 jersey. But keep in mind, like, this is a very small community, right? Like a very tight knit community, and to build that family environment in the community, I think is essential to get everybody to come to the games, because we have, I think, capacity for, I want to say 1,600 people, 1,500 people.
Okay.
And you don't want to have an Elmira situation where you have 300 fans in a 2,000 arena capacity because the place looks empty, it looks dead, it looks bad on TV. So bringing the people to the rink, getting them to care about the team, getting them invested in the team, getting them decked out head to toe in a whiteout of Watertown Wolves jerseys is essential.
Okay, now I'm just looking at the population of Watertown. It's just shy of 25,000 people, and it's probably got a catchment area, as I told you off the mics last week. It is one of the most densely populated areas of the continent. It truly is extremely densely populated. So let's just say, for easy math, we'll double that for a catchment area. Anyone who's within driving distance. So we're looking at about 50,000. What you're going to be getting there is a really authentic professional version of junior hockey.
Essentially, yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I mean, because most junior A, and again, for those that are listening in the U.S., our junior is the equivalent of your NCAA. I would say, I know they have the USHL set up there now, which is a little closer to the format that we use for junior hockey in Canada. But most Tier 2 junior A teams were in middle to smaller markets. The Grand Prairies, Fort McMurray's, Sherwood Parks, St. Albert's, places like that, suburbs, Estevan, Saskatchewan, North Battleford, all around that, anywhere from 15, 20,000 up to maybe 80, 90,000. And what I love about those towns is that they are big enough that they have pride and they take care of their sports teams. And I think you're going to see a really good booster club. Watertown, I got faith in you. Don't prove me wrong on this one. I want to see that support come out.
With all the groceries and all the extra Tim Hortons that they bring to the rink after morning skate.
Yeah, well, listen, when it comes to some of those smaller bars too, like you said, 1,600 capacity.
Yep. When
that thing's full, it might as well be Madison Square Garden.
Well, and I experienced it last year when Motor City came for opening weekend. That place was packed on the opening night. A little bit slower on the second night where I went in, but like that place is packed and that place is electric.
Oh, yeah.
You get it full for when Danbury comes in or Binghamton comes in on a Saturday night. We're going to be bumping early and often. We're going.
Oh man, I'm excited for you. I'm excited to live vicariously through this, and I know you're getting the preseason start. And man, once that season starts rolling, I'm more excited for the podcast in November than I am for the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Because things are going to be growing.
Because things are going to be growing. You're going to have a good, idea of what the in and outs are, the day in, day out kind of stuff. You make a road trip under your belt, but you'll really get to see what the fans are like. No, I'm excited to get a full report on playing in Watertown.
Absolutely. But if you're playing in Watertown, you need to upgrade your game with a pair of Sheath underwear. Those long road trips, you want a pair of Sheath underwear. If you're flying into Watertown, if you're flying into Syracuse to get picked up going to Watertown, you need Sheath underwear. They're the presenting sponsor for the show. They have been since day one. Let me tell you about them. Sheath underwear, pioneered by a former member of the U.S. military who was spending time in Iraq and Afghanistan, couldn't change his get out for 6 weeks at a time and said, I got to fix this. I got to change it so I'm not bat winging to the side of my leg. Boom. Enter Sheath Underwear. They have the dual pouch technology, which is a separated, segregated compartment that puts your dick and your balls where they need to be so they're not touching, nor on the side of your leg, not sweating, getting all sticky and stinky, which you don't want. And then factor in their bamboo mesh technology, their cooling materials. It's the best underwear money can buy. And if you go to the link in the video description on the video podcast, or if you pull over in the Spotify, Apple Notes in the podcast, you click on that link, code BIZKIT69, BIZKIT 69 will get you 20% off the best underwear money can buy. Sheath Underwear is the company that you see. Their logo is on all of my equipment. They are the real deal. We support Sheath because they're awesome. And again, thank you.
Look at it this way. Look at it. Again, for winter people that experience winter climate, and you will in Watertown, what's warmer, a glove or a mitt?
A mitt.
Mitt, right. So are you going to put your junk in a mitt, or are you going to put it in a glove to keep it cool?
The mitt or the glove doesn't exactly insulate.
Right. Yeah. It's much better. When you're putting your Sheath Underwear as like the glove, instead of keeping it warm like a mitt, you want to keep it nice and cool and comfortable.
Yeah, whether you got a north-south problem or an east-west problem, Sheath Underwear takes care of it all. Put your dick and your balls where they deserve to be put. Put the rock into the pouch. You're going to love it. Sheath Underwear.
Speaking of north and south problems, from the looks of it, the majority of your road trips are going to be in the new year, from what I understand. And have you found out yet how you're going to be traveling to some of those southern states down in Mississippi?
So we are not. So that's interesting. So in years past, the Fedzino basically was everybody goes to everybody once. So like Motor City, we go to Columbus we go to Motor City, and vice versa for everybody around. This year, for whatever reason, and I believe this is a cost-saving measure, that is not the case. So we do not go to Baton Rouge once. We don't go to Columbus. We don't go to Carolina. We go to Wytheville once at the end of the season, but we don't touch the South like at all. We are only staying in the pocket of Binghamton, Danbury, Elmira, Motor City, and Port Huron. And keep in mind, we go to Motor City one time in March. We go to Port Huron twice, and everything else is in New York. Like we really only play home games up until Christmas with a couple of those like 2-hour bus rides to Binghamton, Danbury, Elmira. But basically nothing until the new year. And again, this is a big cost-saving measure, so we're not busing 18 hours down to Georgia. We're not busing 24 hours where, like the Motor City Rockers taking a plane or taking buses or like little vans to Louisiana or down to Mississippi. Right? So that's the schedule format.
This almost kind of reminds me of during the pandemic when you had your U.S. League and your Canada League, and then you'd face off in the finals under a bubble. But it does make more sense. I mean, the American League and National League did it for a long time. Same thing with the AFL and the NFL. So I mean, it's not unheard of. And I mean, within a cost-saving league, you want to take cost-saving measures. That makes total sense, especially with a lot of the ownership turnover. You can see why, and hopefully they get this figured out.
Absolutely. And I'll put a little pop on the video version of the show. If you're in the audio version, you'll just have to kind of picture it. But here is the map of the FPHL teams, and you'll see that there's a huge gap between the North and the South. Obviously, you have all the Sun Belt teams kind of in that one little area. Then you have all the New York, Michigan teams in the other area. And again, that's huge cost-saving measures. But it will be interesting because I believe we played Danbury 12 times. We played Binghamton 8 or 9, and then Elmira 8 or 9 as well. But when you look at Baton Rouge is going to play Mississippi, I think 13 times, 8 of which are in a row. So you play 8 games in a row.
Whoa.
Like they're going to be having brawls at the end of every single intermission.
Yep.
Between them and Columbus, that accounts for I think 25 or 30 games that are scheduled just against those two teams. Again, huge cost-saving measures. I get it. I think the operating costs in the league are about $750,000 for the whole season. So that'll chase back on a couple bucks because maybe it'll help stop some teams from folding from all this money on the buses because we talked about they're spending $7,000 a day for these trips.
In between, in that gap you talked about, how many SP teams are in there off the top of your head?
In that gap?
Yeah. Maybe 3 or 4?
Yeah, like you have the Birminghams, you have the Knoxville, Tennessee, you have the Illinois teams, the Quad City. So there are a couple, and I know where you're going with that. It would absolutely make sense to combine the two leagues where you could have 10 and 10.
Well, not necessarily combine, but if we're going to go with this whole AL-NL thing, with the North and the South, what you could do is you could probably combine the leagues but create 2 separate leagues once again, and just one of them is the SP and one of them is the FP, and then you play off for a cup at the end, or you play interleague games like baseball does once a month. They always point that out as an interleague game between the AL and the NL. Soccer does it with friendlies or non-league games and play for different cups. I think there could be a really good opportunity to travel in and out of those cities and have more of a partnership rather than a collective.
Yeah, well, they're definitely competing, and like the SP doesn't want to acknowledge that the Fedzino exists and vice versa, which we all know they exist. We know how the rankings of it and whatnot goes, but like I said, it's interesting with the whole travel schedule. Why like nobody's playing everybody once. I will say we've had a great summer signing guys. We have Ice Wars champion Chase Timpin. We got all these guys that can just put the puck in the back of the net. We're loaded in Watertown. Like Charlie Pence Jr. has been signing anybody and everybody that he can sign, so that there's nobody left to sign for the other teams. It's like good luck finding guys. I will say
that's what a very vindictive ex does, is contacts every single lawyer in town just for a phone call saying, sorry, we've already consulted with them. You can have the mall lawyer.
There is nobody but junior B players left. Good luck putting a roster on ice next summer, or next season, I should say. But if there's one team that I'm looking forward to not playing, it's Columbus, because they are stocking up on some seriously talented guys, and we don't play them one time during the season. So that would be like a Columbus, a Carolina, a Baton Rouge, or a Mississippi. We wouldn't touch them until playoffs if something happened. So I guess that is, good. Right. I mean, and I even like last year, like separating the divisions, even though we didn't play everybody an equal amount of times. Like we played Port Huron and Motor City, I think like 15 times, 16 times. Like it was crazy. But I guess you get a more favorable schedule when you're not playing those stacked Southern teams so many times.
Again, I'm going to go back to this idea we talked about last season. I think we talked about it around this time of year. But I mean, if you go and look at what they're doing with European football and the way that each league is its own league, and if you do well enough, you get graduated in, and then people get relegated back. That idea just makes more and more sense to me, especially when you talk about these operating costs. Who's to say a Ryan Reynolds and a Rob McElhaney wouldn't come in and buy an Elmira and dump a whole bunch of money into it and say we want to get up to the next level?
You and me don't come in and buy a team.
Right. Yeah, with all 10 of our dollars. Yeah, let's go. We'll get it on Groupon. Anyone selling an FP team on Groupon?
We will fund the team with Manscaped ads, and the Booster Club is going to pay for a good chunk of our operating costs.
The more Patreons, the better. Sign up now, please. For the love of God, we'll give you a. What were they doing with Slapshot? They're trying to sell off shares of the team, or no? What movie is that where they're selling off shares of the team to try and keep it alive? One of the numerous movies that have played on that classic storyline.
I feel like that's more like along the lines of like Wolf of Wall Street. We'll sell you penny stocks.
Yeah, right.
It's the next big company.
Bingo.
It's just some company with like a logo on a shed. Absolute piece of trash.
Well, we'll have your name embroidered on a towel that's used in the locker room.
One time.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines in that movie. $26,000 dinner, Jordan? What does it, cure cancer? Actually, it was on sides. $26,000 worth of sides? Who spends $26,000 worth of sides?
What an incredible movie. Leo DiCaprio and Jonah Hill are amazing in that film. I want to talk about something that's a little crazy before we get into the next topic here. And I don't want to talk about it long, but curious to know, and please load up the comments down on the YouTube page. And if you're listening on the podcast, please give us a quick rating. We could use those, especially going into the new hockey season. We'd really appreciate any comment that you can, especially on Apple Podcast. But curious to hear your thoughts about the Q, which is under the branch of the CHL, the Canadian Hockey League, which is our junior hockey league. Again, kids from anywhere from 16 to 20 years old. The Q, which is the Quebec branch, and they play in New Brunswick as well, have outlawed fighting completely. It is no longer tolerated whatsoever and comes with a major suspension. It is completely gone, fighting out of the Q, and I think that domino is going to fall to the rest of the CHL eventually.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. The one thing that I think is a saving grace is that I know the FPHL and the SPHL will never get rid of fighting, because that is what brings fans to the game. Those crazy people in Mississippi.
NASCAR on ice, baby.
That's what they come for, right? Maybe the people in Quebec, I'm sure we have quite a few people listening in Quebec, but they don't come for fighting. They come for hockey. A little bit more liberal leaning. Maybe they don't want to necessarily see that rough and tough, gritty style of hockey. It does worry me that the NHL and the American League and the East Coast will get rid of fighting within 10 years. It's a genuine concern that I do have. But the minor pro levels, it'll never leave. It'll never leave the Fed or the SP.
Now, back in my day, in the AJHL, the Alberta Junior Hockey League, it was a 2-fight rule. Mm-hmm. So you fight twice, and on the second one, you're gone. First one's a 5-minute major. Second one, 5 and a 10. In the NHL, I'm pretty sure it was a 3-fight rule for a good period of time. So I think that could possibly be integrated more and more in some of these leagues. Do you have any fear that it could be in yours? Like, what is the current penalty for fighting in your league?
I don't want to speak and be wrong. I think it's a 10-fight rule. I think if you have 10 fights, there is a suspension. I could be wrong. I know in junior hockey, when I played junior B, it was 5, and then you got a 1-game suspension. 10 fights, and you got a 3-game suspension. I don't want to believe there's any Fed-Zeno rule against fighting, but I could be wrong. I feel like it would be 10, but I don't know. That's a good question. If anybody knows in the comments section, please let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. What else you got?
One thing I did want to mention, too, was obviously we're here at the Energy 106 studios live.
Evanoff Studios at Evanoff Communications, Inc. Yep, the palatial penthouse suite at Polo Park.
Yep, Dave operates the #1 morning show in the city of Winnipeg. We talk about it all the time. And you were very nice enough to bring me on your morning radio show this morning, which
killed it. Beauty's only weather. You finally did it.
We've joked a little bit about, when the YouTube well runs dry, when the professional hockey comes to an end, when the podcast dries up, eventually, because it will happen for all of us one day, is that I'll make $20 a day, same money that I'm making in the FPHL. I'll come in and I'll do the weather and the traffic for you live on the show.
Done.
Simple as that.
Perfect.
You're
hired.
Everything's a beauty. We're early and often. We're just chipping off the glass and all. We're going to have it's actually quite smoky out today with the wildfires. But.
Yeah, Northwest Territories is getting hammered with wildfires like the majority of the world, it seems like. The world is burning. And where the like a bad fart is wafting over here and we're getting some smoky skies. Thanks, Northwest Storage Area. Appreciate the wafting. Remember when New York was screaming about all the fires that were happening in Quebec?
Yep.
And it literally went from like a beautiful sunny day to orange, like apocalypse now orange overnight.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It is scary when you see that. But the morning show that we did this morning, that is going to be an exclusive Patreon video. So if you're on the Patreon page, you're going to be getting access to that. It should be up by the time this episode goes live. So I believe to date you'll have 2 exclusive Patreon episodes only for the Patreon members. And that's $5 a month. The pledges go up to $50 a month. With that $5, you're going to get access to my trading cards from Motor City, from Varberg, from college, from junior, all this type of stuff. There's different price points. So you're going to get more cards the more you spend. And if you hit that $20 a month price point for the Patreon members, you're going to get all the cards. You're going to get the exclusive episodes. And then obviously you'll have input for future Patreon episodes that we do, as well as the Slangin The Bizkit coffee mugs. You have your cup of joe first thing in the morning. And this nice, white, pimped out Slangin The Bizkit sweater. So you get the merch, the cards, the episode, $20 a month. And you help to support the podcast and help Dave and I get one step closer to buying an FPHL franchise that will hopefully not go under in the first 3 years. That's our goal.
Where would you put it if you had your choice of any city?
Maybe Texas. Maybe somewhere, somewhere south, somewhere nice.
El Dorado?
Oh, and what about Florida?
Florida's not bad.
Maybe like Jupiter, like the Jupiter sun rays.
Oh, man. Are you kidding me? You would get, just on the recruitment alone, tell them that you can play on, Medalist Golf Course, which is Tiger Woods' golf course.
Yep.
You have your pick of your hockey players.
Yeah, I've been to Jupiter, Florida, and I've been to the area where Tiger Woods lives. Like, that's a very, very, very nice area.
Oh, yeah.
Very beautiful. Maybe I'll throw some drone video up on the video version just to kind of show that area, the whole Jupiter spot. But it's.
I'll be honest with you, man. Until you're in an area like that, you don't really realize how much wealth there is. Like, there's a lot of wealth out there. Like, a lot. Like, I knew there were some wealthy people. I didn't know that there was that many wealthy people.
It's weird. Obviously, you and I are quite far from being rich or anything close to it. But listening to our Lord and Savior, Mr. Andrew Tate, talk about how when you're at the
Careful
bottom.
now, you've been getting everyone fired up on the socials with the Tate talk.
Anyway, I'm not going to get myself in any trouble. Trying to keep it positive here, manifest positivity. But he talks about when you're broke, it seems like everybody's broke, and it feels that way, right? Like, we're going to Starbucks, we're like, oh, God, it's $6 coffee. But when you start looking at the top tiers of life, like the people in the Tiger Woods area, or there's even this area in Kitsilano in Vancouver where everybody has like a $30 million home. Nobody takes out a mortgage. They just pay cash. Here's $30 million. Give me the home. Leave me alone. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody's got money. Mm-hmm. Everybody's loaded. They all got a G-Wagon. They got a $30 million home. They got a Rolex. They got all these types of things. And then there's us peasants who are just chugging down Trenta ice water cups at Starbucks, hoping to get by with our show.
Just slugging it out, man. Just like either that or people are fronting that they make that much money and just living in a mountain full of debt.
You know, I do worry about that sometimes. I look at some people and I'm like, are they just swimming like house poor, like car poor, all this kind of stuff? Because how do you get this kind of money to, just pay cash for a $1 million home, $2 million home? Like, I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to own a home in my lifetime. I mean, they say that if you earn $30,000 or $300,000 a year in Vancouver, you would need 38 years to own a home, like to pay off the home, which is like, how are you and I going to make $300,000 a year each doing podcasting, vlogging, and hockey? Never. So I'm just going to keep renting for the rest of my life.
Lottery tickets. I'll tell you a quick story. To answer your question, in high school, we were doing this Santa's Anonymous program. And we would go out in groups, and we'd have these hampers where we drop off toys and food and things, to make sure that people will have a Merry Christmas. And it was all done through the organization at school. Mm-hmm. And so me and a friend, we got to jump in a vehicle, and we saw the neighborhood, and we went, oh, that's odd. And we pulled up to this, I would say easily 5,000 square foot house, beautiful triple garage, like just stunning, beautiful house. And we're supposed to be dropping off a hamper of free stuff. And we're like, no, absolutely. A couple of high school kids in the late 90s. And we drove all the way back to school, and like, what happened? And they said, no, that's the size of that home, they don't need that. And it took one of the head organizers, who was a teacher at the school, said, you don't understand that people come to the city, and keep in mind it was a big oil boom city, right? Northern Alberta, Fort McMurray, tar sands, oil sands. People in Texas will know about Fort McMurray.
Also want to give a quick shout out to Andrew Ness. He played for the Fort McMurray Oil Barons.
Yeah, my old alma mater, yeah.
Junior this year. He's committed D1 to Bemidji State. I just skated with him yesterday morning.
Let's go.
Yeah.
He's a part of the mob, the McMurray Oil Barons, as they used to call him.
Yeah, he's a nasty goal. He's going to play pro. He's going to make a lot of money one day.
So what he explained to us was there's a lot of people that come here with dollar signs in their eyes, and they buy the big house, and then all of a sudden they realize, I spent all of the money on the house. I don't have any money to put furniture in or feed myself or a bed or any of that kind of stuff. He goes, I guarantee you open that door and it's empty in there, and they've likely got kids. Mm-hmm. And so we begrudgingly march back, and you realize sometimes the facade doesn't give away everything that's inside.
Yeah, that's kind of sad though. Like to put yourself in that position and then not be able to like truly support your kids and live a happy life with your family. Because I think at the end of the day, like we talk about trying to make all these things happen in the FPHL, talking about like all these goals that we have, both with your career in radio and mine as well with vlogging and podcasting. But like at the end of the day, you don't have family. What do you have? You have nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Like family, kids, being a good father, good mother. That's all you really have in life. Yeah.
Really? Well, I mean, it comes to what is happiness? Doing what you love. That's really what it comes down to. Do what you love.
And it's open to, interpretations. Right? Like what happiness is for me could be different from you. But all of this really never matters, because at the end of the day, when you die, you don't take anything with you, right?
Look at us getting all positive here on the show. You're welcome. If you needed that message, you're welcome.
Yeah. I mean, think about this too. Like we said last week, you could be getting blown up in a ditch in the Ukraine. Life's pretty good when you think about that. Mm-hmm. I had this... I saw this clip again, and I promise this will be the last time we talk.
Just don't say his name. Just say you saw a clip.
I saw a clip the other day. People complaining about how difficult life is and whatnot, and sometimes I think to myself, I'm like, oh god, like this is tough, playing in the FPHL, doing this training, all this kind of stuff. But I saw this clip that was like, okay, you got problems, come see me for therapy. I'm going to listen to you. You're going to sit down right in front of me, and I'm going to have you talk to a terminally ill cancer patient. And if you can make that person feel bad for you, I'll give you some sympathy. If not, get out of my office and do not ever come back with your problems. Mm-hmm. Which is like, you think about that. Like, if you were terminally ill with cancer, you would kill to have my problems or your problems. So that's a pretty good problem to have.
And it doesn't mean that people can't have a moment to, feel depressed, feel bummed out. But more often than not, you're the only one that can take care of the problem.
It's very true. Yeah. And that personal responsibility of, and to bring it back to hockey, the puck goes in the net. Well, I could sit here blaming the D, I could blame the coach, I could blame the fans, I could blame the Zamboni driver, blame the guy who pegged my net improperly. Well, guess what? It's so much easier to just say, I'm the problem. I'll fix it. What did I do wrong? Because then you can actually fix the problem right then and there and diagnose it on the spot, as opposed to putting it on everybody else. So now you got to wait for everybody else to fix your problem, and nothing ever gets done.
Getting back to hockey, I remember we were playing in just outside of Edmonton once upon a time, and we got lucky enough that we got invited to go watch morning skate for the Edmonton Oilers, and Bill Ranford was in net for the Edmonton Oilers at the time. And one thing that really stood out to me was I had seen him get mad when he would let in a goal, like in a game. Mm-hmm. He got just as mad when he let one in practice. In practice.
Yep.
Not a game. We talking about practice. And it just amazed me that competitive edge has to be on both sides of the jersey, whether you're in the practice jersey or in the game jersey. And it reminded me at that time, it's like, you take practice as seriously as you take games.
Absolutely. Like when you're a competitor, it doesn't just magically go off in practice. Right? Like I want to be the best that I can be. And I'm going to take it personally if I'm letting in goals in practice because it's my job. It's my responsibility to stop pucks and be better for this team. Obviously, in games, it's different because like every single mistake, like one little mistake, pucks in the net, now we're down one, momentum's going the other way. We gotta find a way to come back, right? As opposed to in practice, it's like, okay, well, I made a mistake, but it doesn't really cost us anything. But like Billy Ranford or any real competitors, like they don't take any days off. It never goes away. It's permanent. 24/7 competitiveness about anything and everything.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I'm, have I said it yet? I'm just really excited for the season to start. I'm just really excited for the puck drop. I did want to mention a little bit of bad news. Bobby Baun. If you don't know the name, legendary story about Bobby Baun having a broken leg in the Stanley Cup Finals and having it taped up and going back out on the ice and then scoring the overtime winner, which got the Leafs the '64 Stanley Cup. Regardless of anything else he did in his career, he'll always be remembered for that. And actually, a guy that I used to play with on the Oil Barons, Robbie Staudinger, is part of his lineage. I believe that's his great uncle.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a legend. What a legend. Busted his leg, goes to score the game-winning goal. I know obviously you're missing an eye, and that's probably the biggest injury you've ever had in your lifetime, but any other injuries that come to mind that you played through?
Oh, I was Mr. Glass growing up. I broke everything. I sprained everything. I bruised everything. At one point, I had these elbow pads. I think they were Coho, and it was like a solid, hard plastic, and I liked them because they were long. They came halfway down the forearm, and I liked it going into corners and whatnot, having that hard plastic, but I got slew-footed up against the boards one time, and it dug into my, in between the pants and the shoulder pads, and I ended up bruising my kidney and pissing blood for a couple days. So that those hard plastics didn't turn out too well. What else? I've done everything, man. Chris King, I was playing in a charity game. Chris King, former Winnipeg Jet, New York Ranger, took a snapshot, and I put my legs together to block it like a defenseman does. He broke my toe in a charity game, for crying out loud. And then that was well after my playing career. But yeah, the eye injury that left me blind in my right eye, that's obviously the one that still ails me to this day. I mean, I'll never be able to see out of my eye again. But what about you? Worst injury you've ever played with?
Well, and I was going to say, too, like, that is the definition of being competitive and no days off. Even at a charity game, you're blocking pucks, you're eating biscuits for lunch. Early and often. We go all day long. I would say the first ever big injury I had was like a groin tear. Right? Like I was playing junior B hockey. I was playing every night. My first year junior B in Lundar, and the hip impingement that I just had surgery for was starting to really kind of become a problem and starting to cause issues. And I had this groin tear that kept me out for 6 months. But in that 6 months, I took 2 months off of just trying to like rehab it. And then it came playoff time, and I said to our coach, I was like, Coach, I'm ready. I can go. I want to be kicking for the boys. And I went to play game one of the playoffs with this torn groin, and I literally could not walk the next day after playing. We got the win, big win, game one of the playoffs. But the next day I couldn't even walk. It was so bad. And so then obviously that extended into that extra 3 to 4 months of having to rehab it, and then it went down the rabbit hole of all the knee and the groin injuries as a part of the hip impingement, which again surgery fixed. But that was tough. That was tough trying to play through that game. Wrapped up, creamed up, all these types of things just to kind of make it through the game, getting the win, and then not being able to walk and play for the team and having to go to the game, basically limping around like a pirate the next day and saying, guys, I can't do this. I let us down. And then obviously we got dusted the next couple of games and we were out in the first round. But I would say that was the toughest one.
There's a line, and I don't know where the line is. Sometimes I don't even think the competitor knows where the line is, but a perfect example of playing with injury. Second last episode of Quarterback, the documentary on Netflix. Patty Mahomes last season rolls his ankle. Andy Reid goes to pull him out of the game. He goes, no, absolutely not. No, I want to play. Goes and gets x-rays, not broken, high ankle sprain. Goes out and plays, rehabs it throughout the week, goes out and limps around on it again. And you think to yourself, yeah, we can go and win a Super Bowl this year, but if we lose him at the end of the season, we're not going to win any more after that. Or do we shelve him, rely on the rest of our team, and hopefully win 3 Super Bowls when he's back healthy? I mean, I don't know where that line is, but I think sometimes competitiveness turns into stupidity when it comes to taking care of your body for long term. What was the line from Keanu Reeves in The Replacements? Glory lasts forever, chicks dig scars.
It's tough to draw that line, though. Like to put your ego aside and say, I shouldn't play. This is going to hurt me. This is going to hurt the team. Just say no. Get off the ice, rehab it. It's hard to do, especially when you're so competitive. You want to play. It's hard to do that sometimes. And I've lived that my entire career, only up until recently, learning to sometimes we have to say no. Sometimes it's okay to take the day off, to cut practice early for the greater good.
I was playing with Team Alberta once upon a time, and I hyperextended my knee and ended up not going for the scope and playing it out anyways. And to this day, my knee is still rickety. And I can tell you when it's going to rain or snow.
I was going to say, you got the weather knee.
Yeah, I got the weather knee. Yeah, it's come in handy, but it's a pain in the butt. And every time it does it, I go right back to that moment of that decision that I made going, no, I'm going to play in this tournament. I'm going to play in the Super Series. I'm not missing this opportunity.
Well, and if you're playing in the tournament, you want to be at your best in the tournament of life.
Right.
Which is why you need to taper up that beard line with the team at Manscaped.com. The Manscaped Beard Hedger has 20 different lengths. It has a 60-minute battery life, charges by USB-C cable, so it's super fast charging, and it's waterproof. Taper up that beard line. If you're watching the video version of the podcast, you can see I kind of tapered mine in, faded it in today. How's it look?
Dynamite. You look like Leonidas.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm going for that look. But you can pick up the Manscaped Beard Hedger or any Manscaped products, from the lawnmower to the weed whacker to any of their other personal grooming products. You go to the link in the video description with the code BIZKIT, B-I-Z-K-I-T. We'll get you 20% off and free shipping only at Manscaped.com. And thanks to the team at Manscaped for sponsoring the podcast, as I do every single week.
Speaking of which,
yes,
the white spot.
Oh, the white spot in my hair, yes.
Yeah, you got the Jay Leno thing is just a little further back.
Yeah.
You know when you go gray, that spot will be brown, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've had that since I was like 19. I try to bury it as much as I can.
What is it?
Apparently it's trauma.
What?
For me hitting the head. I'm assuming with pox.
No.
That's what they told me.
Only white hair grows out of that area?
Only white hair, yep. I've had it since I was about 19.
No. Ask your doctor.
I did.
And that's what he said.
He said it was trauma, probably.
Trauma, probably.
Probably, yep. And that was good enough for me. I was like, what is this?
Now listen, these gray hairs that I got in my beard, that's from life experience. that I know. And a little bit of trauma thrown in there for good measure.
You know, I talked to this girl a couple of years ago on one of the online dating apps, and she says to me, I want a man with a receded hairline. And I said, why would you want a man with a receding hairline? She says, receding hairline says experience, and I've done life. And I thought, well, I have a receding hairline, but I started taking pills to fix it. So is that not the best of both worlds? Because I can't go, I have a really ugly shaped head. I can't go bald. Right? It's already a thing a little bit, but we're trying to.
Looks good under a helmet. Got it.
Yeah, salad coming out the back, the all-you-can-eat special. That's what the ladies like, and what I like to see. Looking at the photos online.
There's a guy on YouTube that I follow. His name's FouseyTube, and he was getting a receding hairline, so he did what most men do, and he shaved his head down. But he went and got tattooed to have his hairline reinstated, and then he just keeps it trim all the time, so it looks like he's doing it by choice, rather than I shave my head because I'm receding my hairline. No, my hairline's still good. I just think it looks better this way.
That's the thing. You want to make it seem like you made the choice.
Right.
I don't have to go bald. I chose to be bald.
Right.
It's a position of power.
Exactly.
I control my testosterone levels and my hairline. I'm in control of it, not genetics.
I'm the one that's going to create a meth empire. I am Walter White.
I did want to say, too, I got a new laptop recently, as you see on the video version here. I told you before when we were doing the show, it would be like a 6 to 7 hour process to export and get everything done. I'm getting the whole show done in like 30 to 40 minutes now, exporting-wise. So this has been life-changing, and it just absolutely rips. So it's been easy to get the podcast up with you. It's been really, really nice. Again, the Patreon episode of the show is going to be up from your morning show this morning for Patreon members. So if you are a Patreon member, you can go check that out. I don't really have any extra news here. We basically covered every single thing, what's coming up. Going to Hamilton, going to London, the FPHL map, schedule coming up, the Watertown Wolves. I know I did have a little Chad Kroeger stuff penciled in. If you got a story for Chad Kroeger you wanted to tell?
Chad Kroeger still owes...
Kroeger or Kruger?
Kroeger, whatever. He still owes my old radio co-host $20 for a cab ride that he needed to get to the venue after the interview we did.
When was that?
1996. 7. Somewhere 97, 98, somewhere in around there. A little later, 99. Somewhere in that area.
We should post this clip out on social media and see if we can get Chad to pay back that $20.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him on the show.
Sure, why not? Yeah. He loves hockey.
I would love to talk to Chad Kroeger.
About what?
I would love to talk to him about dealing with the hate. The songs like Figure You Out. You could not release Figured You Out today. You've heard Figured You Out.
Oh,
right?
yeah, of course. No,
right?
I'm very familiar with Nickelback's library. That's something that they've tackled before in interviews and whatnot, and like water off ducks back for the most part. It's for them, they're at the point now where like, love us or hate us, we don't care, we're rich. I mean, sure, there's some days it gets to you when you're feeling a little down, you go and read those things and have a little pity party, but dude did exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a rich rock star. Nailed it.
And he did exactly that.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, he's got an incredible voice, incredible guitar player, just an incredible band.
Great songwriter, great producer.
And like, I just love the sound. I just love the sound of Nickelback. I know I might get some hate, and some people have probably turned the podcast off or already listened to this, but like Nickelback slaps. And they always have.
Great band.
I still say, I know we disagree on this. All the Right Reasons was a good album. I think The Long Road was the best album.
If you want a hit written, go see Chad.
Well, and that's basically all the news we got for today. So I just wanted to say, although this will be our last episode we do in person before, I'm off, leaving tomorrow to go to Hamilton, then London, then Watertown.
Good luck, by the way.
Thank you very much.
We're all with you.
I just want to say to everybody listening, thank you for listening to the show on the video version, the audio version, to Dave for sticking by me for a full season, going on 60-plus episodes of the show.
Injuries and life events and everything.
Everything. You've been through all of it with me and helped me a lot, especially recently. So,
well, that's why I want to live vicariously with you for the hockey season, because I've done everything else with you.
Well, let's keep it going. I'm looking forward to having you come out to Watertown for some games, to do some in-person episodes of the show probably sometime November, December, once it gets settled, and sharing every moment of that with the people listening to the show on the vlog, in person, whatever it may be. So
safe travels.
Well, thank you very much. And just remind everybody, we do a new episode of this podcast every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 in Winnipeg, 9 in Calgary, 8 in the West Coast. And again, if you're on an Apple or Spotify version, leave a review. Let us know what you think of the show. We'd love to hear from you. On the YouTube version, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, leave a like. Me and Dave are always in the comments, so we look forward to chat with you very soon. And the next time I see you will probably be sometime in Hamilton and or in Watertown. And the next time Dave is in person will probably be in Watertown around November. Until then, we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.